Welcome to the IDEA Committee meeting of March 20th, 2024. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. And I will do a roll call. We know that Committee Member Horton on paternity leave. Committee Member Mangish Koltahar.
Here.
Committee Member Ashley Budelli is also absent. Committee Member or Chair Anna Dennis, I am here. Committee Member Diane Osito is also,
Yeah, she's actually not on the IDEA committee anymore.
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. And Committee Member Miyoko Naida.
She will join
Join
on
us.
Zoom when she's able.
Wonderful. Okay. Can consider any requests of a committee member to attend the meeting remotely under the emergency circumstances of AB 2449. That would also fall under Miyoko, right,
Yeah.
but not here. Okay.
She's joining in 1 sec.
Ah, great. So we wait to approve the agenda until she comes on.
We don't have a quorum now yet. Just two of us.
That's true. I think we should wait.
Okay.
Wait.
She doesn't know how we're hinging on
Unfortunate.
her attendance.
She did say she would join. She was here on the
Yeah.
previous meeting.
Okay, here we go. Here's Miyoko. What panel is? Hi, Miyoko. You're just in time for us to approve the agenda.
Hi, Miyoko.
Hi.
Okay.
So Miyoko here in the room, we have Anna, myself, Mangesh, Caroline, and Mitch.
I'm Mitch Bull,
Economic.
Economic Development Director.
I'm gonna go ahead with the approval of the agenda.
Great. Okay, so can I get a first and a second to adopt the agenda as it stands?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I can read out the names. Do we have to do that? Don't think we-
Of the people who make
to
the
approve.
motion? Sure.
Okay, Chair Dennis
Aye.
and Vice Chair Kohakar.
Aye.
And committee member Nida.
Aye.
All in favor? No opposed? Approved. Okay, so we're approving the minutes of the IDEA Committee meeting of February 21st, 2024.
Chair Dennis,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kohakar.
Aye.
And committee member Nida.
Aye.
None opposed? Approved. So there are no members online to make public comments.
Just double check. No.
So already we're to our old business. going fast. We'll just, I guess, go in order here in expiration of appointments and requesting term renewals.
All right, so the council did approve the appointments of Vice Chair Kohekar and Committee Member Horton for 2-year terms.
One
So
for me.
Hmm?
One for me.
one for you,
Yeah,
okay,
two
and
for-
2 for Alex.
Yeah.
And their appointments will be approved via resolution at the April 4th city council meeting. And it's up to, I think we might wait until the recruitment closes and the new committee members are appointed and then swear everyone in together
Okay,
at a future city council meeting. Is that all right?
great, thank you,
Okay.
City Council.
Yes.
Great.
We'll, just hold off until probably sometime at one of the May meetings to do
Right.
that.
Sure. Makes sense.
Okay, and. Yeah, so hopefully we see some applicants to, come forward and. Share their ideas.
When is the deadline for that? Oh,
Let me
sorry.
share the, screen where we can look at the website.
We need 2 replacements, right?
Yeah, well, the committee, because there's 4 on the committee currently. The bylaws allow up to 7, so there's actually a total of 3 seats available to apply for the idea
Okay.
committee.
Okay.
And so applications are due on April 30th by 5 p.m. You can go to the city's website, brisbaneca.org, and it's one of the 4 news items. And the applications are found on that page, and you can read more about the committee here, and Ingrid will be accepting the applications. You can email electronic version in order to meet the deadline of Tuesday, April 30th as well. But the applications are found under supporting documents.
So as of
So,
next, excuse me, as of next month, there'll be 4 members. Then we're looking for 3 now,
yeah,
Yeah.
up to 3.
up to 3, right?
Mhm.
That's great.
Okay. I think it's rotating on the signboards right now, so.
Yeah, I saw that.
Mhm.
Great, okay. Any questions by the committee?
Okay.
Okay. No public comments, I'm assuming?
Nope. No.
All righty. Well, thank you for the update. So under here, I guess we want to go ahead and have you,
Start with me.
yes,
Okay.
please. share with us.
My name is Mitch Bull. I am the Economic Development Director for the City of Brisbane.
Welcome.
I'm welcome, glad to be here. So I'm contract position. So I'm limited to 600 hours a year, which basically breaks down to 12 hours a week. So I'm not full-time
Mhm.
and I contract in.
Mhm.
Prior, and I've been doing this part-time for the city since 2013.
Wow.
Okay. Before that, I was the CEO and president of the chamber from 2008 to 2019.
Okay.
Okay. And before that, I worked at Hitachi America at Sierra Point from 1990 to 2008,
1990.
1990 to 2008.
So we overlapped. I was in Hitachi Semiconductor.
Oh, I worked with semiconductor a lot,
Yeah, no wonder your name sounds familiar.
with John Gleason and Bill Gassand and George Saul and,
Yeah, Bill Gassand.
yeah, yeah.
George Saul,
Yeah, well, I was in the administrative group that oversaw all the buildings and worked in the fab in Dallas and,
Yeah, I've been there too.
Yeah.
I've been there.
yeah, so I spent a lot
Small
of
world.
years there,
Yeah.
a lot of years there.
Yeah.
So my role is to obviously bring business to Brisbane where we can. Try to keep the businesses we have. And also work kind of like an ombudsman with small businesses or entrepreneurs that don't know how a city works.
Mhm.
So, they may be struggling with, planning issues.
Mhm.
Or how do I find real estate? Because they don't know where to start. And, one of the biggest challenges that I have is we have a lot of entrepreneurs that want 500 square feet. I have a lot of 5,000 square feet or 20,000 square feet. I don't have little places.
Mhm.
So I mean, eventually, so there's opportunities, let's say, to have an incubator, start up and take one of these warehouses and chop it up into smaller spaces. We haven't gotten there yet.
Right.
But that's something we're constantly looking for someone to take that on,
Right.
okay? So the good news is, and I'll back up a little bit. In 2012, 2013,
Mhm.
after the recession in 2008, our vacancy rate was like 60% in Crocker Park, which is not good.
Right.
So that's when we decided to start looking at a subcommittee for economic development. What can we do to foster growth in the city, bring businesses back in? Well, by January a year ago, we were 100% leased in Crocker Park, which has never happened in the 60 years it's been open.
Mhm.
100% leased. And Sierra Point, of course, if you've seen it, is we're building out a lot of biotech there.
Incredible.
And some of that's pre-leased,
Mhm.
some of it they're gonna have to fill. But the objective is very good. And, these people that are building it, they know biotech and they know who to go for small companies, large companies, and they will probably bring in people from other cities. I mean, we've brought people in from Richmond, California. We brought people in from San Francisco that have relocated to Brisbane,
Right.
because we have parking, we have, beautiful bay views, beautiful mountain views, and we have proximity to open space, which you're not gonna get a lot of in San Francisco and some of the other cities. So,
And within the zone of a great city.
right, and we think this is an ideal location for business.
Absolutely.
We do, and I've always felt that way. So my job is to I'm kind of like a conductor of an orchestra. I try to put the pieces together with questions. So, I mean, we use Caroline's office to try to get the word out, things.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, we tried to put small businesses in touch with the government for the PPP grant program.
Wow.
And Brisbane City put together a grant program for small businesses that had lost a percentage of business.
Right.
So we tried to put people together with that through the chamber and Caroline's office. So a lot of times I just field calls. And then I try to figure out, okay, what's the best way for this to happen?
Mhm.
Brisbane Lunch Truck started with a call to my office.
Mhm.
And Chris says, well, I'd like to open a restaurant. Can I do this? Can I do that? And we said, well, the lunch truck, the area out there we knew it was gonna be vacant.
Right.
So basically, we put her in touch with the people to get this done. And she's very successful,
Mhm.
and who knows, she may expand into another space.
Mhm.
We're not always successful. I mean, it's taken probably 2 years to work with the Montessori school. We're close to getting something happening there at One San Bruno, across from the community park.
Great.
We're
Something down there.
working on it.
Mhm.
We've had 4 or 5 businesses that have looked at that location in the last 10 years.
Mhm.
But the problem is, they're parking intensive, of which there is none, basically.
Mhm.
And, those are problems. So they go through planning commission and trying to get certification. And, some uses just they sound great, but they just wouldn't work in the real world. So that's kind of what we do. And piggybacking on like my days at the chamber, we know we have businesses that everybody sees. I mean, they see names on the buildings, like, it's Hitachi or Sangamo Therapeutics.
Mhm.
But we have a lot of little businesses that are people running out of their house,
Mhm.
and especially during COVID. And they don't generally join things like the chamber.
Right.
So, our challenge is how do we connect with them and get them to connect with the city to help foster their business?
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, of course, in times of real need, like the pandemic, they really want to connect because they want to see what's available.
Sure, yeah.
So that was in a weird way, that was good for them to know that we exist.
Right.
Okay. I would rather have them on good terms, knowing that exists where they're not desperate for a grant or something like this to try to promote their business or whatever.
Right.
So that's kind of what we do.
Mhm.
Sometimes we're like the Maytag repairman. We're just, you know, we don't have active stuff going, but we're still working in, you know, with regional real estate brokers, working with the San Mateo County Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Yeah.
Because our goal is to still drive business to the hotels,
Mhm.
conference centers, whatever. Because every time somebody stays in the DoubleTree, we get a piece of the action through the TOT tax. And, you know, they lost about 70 to 80% of their business from 2019 to 2021.
Mhm.
It's coming back.
Right.
They're up 47% from last year,
Mhm.
but it's still a long way to go to get back to pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of things we do. So I also represent the city at the Progress Seminar, which is where all 20 San Mateo County cities get together and talk policy issues for transportation, housing, cannabis, related issues, policing, everything. We take a 3-day seminar, and we're up in either Monterey or this year it'll be in Santa Rosa. And we get all the leaders of, you know, cities and county government and state government, and we talk. Because there's a lot of time we can't go to Sacramento and get their ear all the time,
Mhm.
okay? So we do that once or twice a year anyway. But the Progress Seminars, I think this is the 54th year, and so annually they do that. You know, I also work with the California State Economic Development Association. Again, it's just good to be known
Right.
because we're small.
Mhm.
And when you have a state like California, they forget that cities like Brisbane with 4,300 people exist.
Right.
We're small in population, but we're huge in the business community. We have like 700 businesses. There are cities, I live in Pacifica.
Mhm.
We have 44,000 people. But you have 10 times the business revenue than Pacifica has,
Mhm.
because we don't have anything to bring it in.
Right.
You know, 3/4 of our land is state, county, and national park. And we have a beautiful ocean, but it doesn't generate much revenue for the city. So I mean, so they have other issues,
Right.
right? We're very fortunate that the city fathers annexed Crocker Park in the very beginning.
Mhm.
You know, when they did that in the 60s and 70s, that really pretty much guaranteed at least a minimal revenue stream
Mhm.
for the city, which has been for, you know, 50 years.
Right.
So,
And more recently from Sierra Point as well.
and Sierra Point as well, you know, so
And we're talking about the Crocker Park, off of Geneva here, right?
we're in Crocker Park right on Valley Drive. We're in Crocker Park right now.
Oh,
This building is,
okay,
this building is part of Crocker Park.
gotcha. I'm thinking of the park part,
Parker Amazon.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the Crocker Amazon.
That's
Yeah.
Crocker.
No.
Amazon.
not part of this.
Crocker
No.
Park is Valley Drive all the way.
Yeah,
Right.
Valley
Okay.
is like the spine.
So
Yeah.
when you are on Bay Shore and you turn on Valley Drive, you'll
Mhm.
see a sign on the side that says Crocker Industrial Park.
It's a little light now.
Yeah.
Right. But this was all from the Southern Pacific Railroad, and
Yes.
Crocker Bank
Mhm.
and Crocker Land owned all this. They owned San Bruno Mountain.
Mm.
Their original goal was to chop the top off the mountain, put it in the bay, and build another city of 50,000 people.
Ooh.
The environmentalists didn't allow that to happen.
Mhm.
So again, you know, Brisbane's been very active within business since the 20s. I mean, the walking trail was a railroad track. So people don't remember that.
That's interesting about the, what you mentioned about Pacifica's 44,000 business.
Yeah.
Here being
10
10 times.
times
that.
10
more.
times.
So per capita, per resident, it's even more.
Yeah, per resident, it's right, a lot more.
100x.
Yeah, it's like 100, you're right, it's like 100x. And you know, and there's good things. I mean, you have a world-class pool.
Right.
You know, the marina, you know, there's maintenance issues, but they're fixing it. But how many places have this?
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I worked at Sierra Point in 1990 when we opened the Hitachi building, and it was pretty barren. There were 3 buildings there.
Yeah.
But it took, you know, 35 years for that to be developed. Right? Because you have different owners, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it took that long, because now we have state-of-the-art environmental
Yeah.
buildings, state-of-the-art design. The new buildings are beautiful.
And
And
that, I mean, there's a Sierra Point tree development.
Right.
plan as well, and
Right.
I represent IDEA on that committee as well.
Right.
So that's gonna, continue to address these kind of issues,
Yeah.
maintenance issues that you brought up.
Right,
which is-
and I mean, we have issues, I mean, we're gonna have sea level rise issues, we're gonna have, Sierra Point sinks because it's a landfill, so you have to constantly
Right.
refill, to keep it up here. But, again, the city is actively working with that. I mean, had we built some, had developers built 20 more ugly buildings in 1989, 1990,
Right,
you would have been stuck with what you have there. One of the other challenges we have, the buildings in Crocker Park, the warehouses, some of them are 60 years old. They're nearing the end of their usable life.
Mm,
Mm.
But I mean, they're basically, cinder block toed up boxes.
Yeah.
And they're great for what they are.
Right.
The problem is modern shipping, modern storage wants 22-foot ceilings for electronic picking and things like that. So, Prologis, who is the largest in the world at industrial real estate, they're building thousands and thousands of square feet in Tracy off Highway 5.
Yeah.
But they also own 15 buildings here in Valley Drive.
You see their signs.
Yeah,
for
you'll see their
launches.
signs on the side of the building. It's round, green and blue.
Yeah, I know they have a building on Bay Shore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, they do.
Between the tracks and the
Yep.
Bay Shore.
Yep, the old
So they
VW.
have another 15 buildings on Valley Drive. as
Yes,
well.
they do. They do. They're in the post office as well.
Okay,
So so the good news is, as the largest industrial developer in the world, right, and they're based in San Francisco.
right.
So as that, they have power to bring tenants in when they have a vacancy. So, and they've only owned these buildings for probably about 10 years. They bought them from another company. So they saw the need to invest in Crocker Park. We're glad they're here. They maintain their buildings very well.
Mhm.
And they have a huge network of people that are looking for space, either to upsize or downsize.
Right.
So that's why we got to the 0% vacancy
Mm.
2 years ago. So, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And my goal is to work with, your team and whatever we can do to basically bring business, keep business, and celebrate Brisbane for the business hub that it is.
Mhm.
Because most people don't know about us,
Mhm.
Right.
I mean, the San Francisco Business Times ran a whole spread and said, we're the hot place to be.
Right.
Mm.
So they do know about us.
They do know about us, especially because of Sierra Point, where you can
Mhm.
see it from 101.
Mhm.
Crocker Park is probably the best secret on the peninsula,
Without a doubt.
They don't know about Crocker.
they don't know about Brisbane,
That's right.
they don't know about
That's
Brisbane,
right. Because when I tell people where I live, they're like, where?
right?
I have to go
Right.
through, oh, it's by San Bruno Mountain and so,
Yeah,
they don't.
nobody knows where Brisbane,
Right.
oh, that's South City, no, it's
Mhm.
not,
Right.
that's
Well, they
Brisbane,
think that Sierra Point is part of some.
they do,
Mm.
Zero
Yeah.
Point is now a dedicated biotech and
yes,
healthcare pharmaceuticals
Life
kind of
Yes.
hub, right?
sciences.
Yeah.
So businesses, I think another issue is businesses might be attracted to Brisbane and might consider Sierra Point, but very quickly, once they realize that especially if they're not in that
Zip
sector.
code.
That,
Oh.
okay, then, that's not accessible to them because of the nature of their business, which is not in healthcare or pharmaceutical.
Right.
To them, it needs to be re-emphasized, that no, there is space on Valley Drive.
Right.
Yeah, and,
and
there, that is probably an outreach initiative that might attract.
that's what
That
we
might
do,
Keep that, capitalize on that interest,
right, and
especially since you said Business Time planned this article.
Yeah.
And
the other thing is, how do businesses come here, how do they find out about us? Well, local real estate brokers, the commercial brokers,
right.
because they point businesses in directions,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
And I will tell you, 15 years ago, we had a terrible reputation.
Mm.
We didn't want business. And we made, some of our council decisions at that time made it very clear that we didn't want more businesses.
Yeah.
We didn't want business on Sierra Point. We didn't want to develop it. We wanted the businesses we wanted. We didn't want just general business. And so real estate brokers, if they have a choice of going to South City,
Right.
or they have come here, they would always go to South City first.
Hmm.
Because we made it very clear through some of our meetings that we weren't real business friendly.
Hmm.
And we have changed that complete dynamic through the council, through outreach. In fact, the people that are developing Sierra Point out, the new buildings, they didn't want to come here.
Hmm.
And we went to them, and it was Clay and myself and John Swicky from planning.
Mm.
And we said, why don't you want to come here? Because I had heard this from the brokerage. Said, oh, you guys are hard to work with. I said, we're not hard to work with.
Mm.
We have been hard to work with in the past for some businesses
Yeah.
that weren't really what our citizens wanted.
Mhm.
But I said, we got a bad rap. Why don't you come talk to us? They ended up buying the place on Sierra Point and they're gonna build 3 buildings.
The Genesis.
It's Genesis.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So I mean, they wanted to play good cop and bad cop, because of course they're all looking
Right.
for something. But we don't give out tax breaks.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, is, oh, you guys can give tax. We don't do that.
Right.
We're not the size of a city that can do that. San Francisco that can do that, but we can't.
Mhm.
So, the businesses that come here usually want to be here.
Right.
Mhm.
But I mean, at the same time now, if it's 100% occupancy, if businesses do want to come here, where it can be accommodated.
Well, that is the challenge as well. Now, again, I'm not unhappy that we're not 100% occupied right now.
Okay.
We've had several businesses that have changed. Mostly cannabis related. And Trove, which is the re-commerce of used clothing and goods,
Mm.
they're downsizing. They are consolidating and in one way, and they're eliminating this warehouse and their executive office here on Valley Drive.
Mm.
And they're moving them, they're decentralizing them to 5 other locations in the country,
I see.
Mm.
because they're going global
Okay.
Mm.
and mostly Europe.
Mm.
And we're the furthest point from Europe
Right.
in their map timeframe.
Yeah.
So, the good news is they got their start here, we grew them to the point, and now they're moving.
Mm.
Well, I'm sure Prologis has a plan to release that building.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they don't tell me what it is, but I'm sure they have a plan. So, it's good to have turnover, because like you said, we want new kinds of businesses,
Right.
we lost BB several years ago and we got Vitalant, the blood bank people on the corner of Valley.
Right.
So I mean, businesses turn over. And, this business park is very, very well regarded
Mhm.
in the Bay Area
Yeah.
as one of the premier business parks. Even at its age, well maintained, great views, small town, and somebody who's running a business, they can walk into City Hall and not be in a bureaucratic mess. They can find somebody that'll help them,
Mhm.
whether it be Caroline or myself, or even, they can go see the city manager. You
Right.
can't do that in a lot of cities. It'd be take a number, we'll get back to you someday.
Right.
We're not like that. And, that is a good thing for us. Now, it's gonna change a little bit when Bayland starts coming online, and it's coming. I don't know exactly when, and of course, I've been hearing that for 30 years,
Mhm.
but it is coming. I mean, plans are drawn, and I expect they will be building on Sierra Point. Bayland's group will be building on Sierra Point before they build the north end.
Mhm.
But that's coming.
Mhm.
And, that's up to 2 million square feet of commercial property. So I mean, that is a whole different game. And 2,000 more houses
Wow.
or housing units. So I mean, that will effectively triple the population of Brisbane
Right.
theoretically.
Yeah.
So that's, and of course, you had people in Sacramento that want to build 10,000 units out there. So far, we've kind of held them off from that.
Mhm.
Remember the housing element?
Yeah, well, that's the housing element that, is a very hot topic.
Mhm.
Certainly, I mean, you mentioned, you have these inroads into other cities.
Yeah.
Economic development councils and also at the state level. Do you also interface with you probably do, but with the Small Business Development Council, which I believe is a federal entity, right?
Yeah, it is.
Federal government
It
entity,
is. Yeah, and I mean, there's a California version of that, the
Right.
California Job Council and Small Business
SBA.
Administration. Yes, yeah. I mean, we don't interact with them a lot, but we do interact with them and
Yeah, there seems to be some commonality between
Right.
charters from what little I know.
Yeah.
Between your,
Because I mean, our goal is to, and we're basically cheerleaders too. I mean, our goal is to promote Brisbane
right,
as a place to be.
yeah,
And, fortunately for me, I worked on Sierra Point for, a long time,
right.
18 years. So,
Wow, yeah.
yeah. So I kind of seen the city go through a big change in those 18 years,
Yeah,
so I think there's good things that happening, and I think the future's really positive. Because I think we're doing it the right way. We're not just rushing in and
Yeah.
just building development for development's sake,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some cities right now that are tearing down warehouses and they're building biotech. Okay? Now, if they were building biotech 3 years ago, I think they would have been in good shape. I think some of them may have missed the boat.
Yeah, it's an oversupply.
Yeah, I think there will be an oversupply. And I think, well, I was gonna, Burlingame and Millbrae too. I think they may be in trouble to try to lease some of those buildings when the time comes.
Mhm.
It's right there, actually, Burlingame and Millbrae border.
Yeah. But the problem is, in California or anywhere, by the time you
Yeah.
draft it, buy it, get it permitted and build it, it might be 10 years. I mean, like the Baylands has been 30 years. I don't think they figured it was gonna be 30 years when they bought the land in the first place.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you just never know how long it's gonna take, and do you miss that boom? Well, you may.
Right.
Now, there may be another one called AI, we don't know. You know, but I think we haven't just jumped into every fad over the last 30 years.
Yeah,
And, and they haven't, the city hasn't overcommitted to things that they can't support.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they've done a really good job overall.
I think they also made some pragmatic partnerships, for instance, with Prologis, right?
Yeah.
That's a secular growth trend.
Yeah.
Warehousing.
Yeah.
That's here to stay.
Well,
Everybody needs them.
everybody needs it,
Mhm.
and San Francisco is eliminating it, as
Exactly.
is South City, as is Burlingame.
So we capitalize on that.
So they come here. Now, that also brings up the quarry, where there's a proposal to build a 1,000,000 square foot modern 20 foot high double-decker warehouse that would remediate the quarry floor. Now, there would be traffic, but it would be, this would be something big and needed, because there's not gonna be anything like that on the peninsula
Yeah.
going forward.
I'm sure Amazon is. very intrigued
Well,
by the
Amazon would be
prospect.
intrigued, as would UPS, as would
Yes.
FedEx,
Mhm.
and they could break it up into multiples. And of course, there'd be more traffic, but most of it's gonna be electric trucks now.
Yeah.
So, by the time it's built, it's gonna be state of the art, if it gets built. So, I think there's things that the city is doing that's very good. I'm presenting a white paper, a 10-year white paper that I just finished
Mm,
a couple weeks ago to the council tomorrow night
mhm.
to talk about the economic vitality in Brisbane, where it came from over the last 10 years, because we did a report 10 years ago
Right.
when we were just coming out of the recession, and
Mm,
it didn't paint a rosy picture. It was like, here's things we have to do. Well, we did some things, and the council did some amazing things
mm.
in retrospect. And the city has flourished in an economic point from that.
Yes,
Well, Clay is retiring.
really.
Yeah, Clay is retiring probably by June.
Oh.
Okay, after 25 years as city manager. He's the longest tenured city manager in San Mateo County history, from 1857.
Mhm.
So, I mean, those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah, without that.
And the council's, working on, they interview people over the weekend. Well, I'm probably not gonna be here in 10 years.
Wait a minute, of course, I need to retire.
Well, so, but again, what I'm trying to do is put stuff down in writing. So Clay's successor, my successor, whatever happens, they have a blueprint of what we did. How we got from 2013 to 2023 through a pandemic, through a recession, and, what things can we look for in the future?
Right.
It's a snapshot in time.
And succession planning is so important, so it is great that you're doing that. I mean, that's.
It is important because all the institutional knowledge is gone when people retire.
Mhm, mhm.
They don't write reports, they don't write
Right.
books, it's not
Right.
in a database anywhere, really. And the city's been very good, because we've had people that have done the history, and, we have books, the first 25 years, the
Mhm.
second 25 years, and they are invaluable for resource. To look back up, how did we get from 1930 to 2000?
Right,
How did we get to 2000 to 2013? This is how do we get from 2013 to 2023 through the pandemic?
Mhm.
And,
Mm.
it's, I want future council members to know, at least they can have it as a resource. You know,
No, that's great transition
Excellent.
management.
yeah, so I mean, and of course, my role will probably be a full-time job someday.
Mhm.
It won't be me.
Right.
Because I'm at an age where I'm not going to be here for that.
Mhm.
But once the Baylands gets developed, they're going to need probably a full-time, economic development director. Cause you're trying to fill 2 million more square feet
Mhm.
and run really another city.
Yeah,
So that's why we're planning for some of that by taking the space across the street. And signing a lease for 25 years
Mhm.
and sharing it with the fire department training. And planning is gonna move over there probably in June or July,
Mhm.
no?
Planning is gonna expand here
Oh,
at
they
City
are?
Hall,
That has changed.
along with public works staff.
I know we're going over, city
Mhm.
manager's office is going
Yeah, we're
over.
gonna go over with HR, city clerk's
Okay,
office.
okay,
Mm-hmm,
so
Oh.
along with, North County Fire Authority
Yeah.
command staff.
the command staff, yeah,
Mhm.
That'd be nice to have that
it will,
proximity.
but we need more
They're
space
doing
here for
city
planning
limits.
because the Baylands is gonna require a tremendous amount of plan checking
right.
Mhm.
and just planning work.
Yeah.
So there, I mean, there's all kinds of challenges, there's all kinds of things that we can do. But it's, from a home-based business to, somebody with 300 employees, they still have to, do the right thing.
Yeah.
We're here to help them.
Mhm.
So that's pretty much what I do.
Fantastic.
Mitch, you have been a font of information here. It's like going back in time, because I mean, living here, I mean, you kind of know what you know about Brisbane, but this is kind of the behind the scenes information and just really great to know. I of course know about Baylands and Sierra Point, but
Sure.
but to hear, like the behind the scenes part.
Have you ever looked at the books?
You know what? I did at the library. I
Okay.
looked at the books, a couple of the books, but not all of them, but I am
They
fascinated.
are fascinating.
Yeah, by Brisbane's history.
I mean, Sierra Point didn't exist.
Right.
It was a
right.
dump.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
people didn't like the dump and they protested the dump
Mhm.
and all of that. And, Recology at the times,
Yeah.
San Francisco Scavenger,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to put an incinerator out there and burn trash.
Mm.
Which was a big deal. They thought it was gonna be good and, well, the people in the city fought it. And their lawyer was Casper Weinberger. Right?
Mhm.
And they won. And Recology didn't get a chance to set up an incinerator.
Mm.
So eventually they filled the dump in, capped it, it became Sierra Point.
Mm.
Well, that dump has brought so much revenue to the city by
Yes.
building buildings on it and 2 hotels.
Yeah,
So I mean,
One
that
man's
was
trash, right?
Exactly. exactly,
Literally.
and I mean, but it created
Yeah.
land that this city didn't have,
Mhm.
right? And, they couldn't have built that stuff in Crocker Park because there wasn't any place to build.
Mhm.
I mean, we're working with Prologis now to think about when some of these warehouses reach the end of the line, where it's just not feasible to remodel them or rebuild them, can we turn them into affordable housing?
Mhm.
Well, Prologis doesn't do that, but they have in certain cases worked with other people that do.
Mhm.
So we're trying to plant that seed for them to think about what happens with certain warehouses, 5 years, 10 years from now.
right.
And it's not gonna happen tomorrow, but we have to start the process somewhere. So that's, so we work from businesses to housing element to,
Yeah.
So we just try to, we have our fingers into everything a little bit.
Yeah, I like the fact too that the city council has taken their time with this because there is a charm and an allure about Brisbane and you
Oh, yeah.
don't wanna mess with that balance.
Right.
And of course you wanna grow and you wanna keep revenue coming and generating within here, but you don't want it to
Right.
change.
Well, if they added 10,000 housing units like Sacramento was, you would
Mhm.
have up, 20,
Yes.
30,000 more residents.
Right,
Yeah.
That wouldn't be charming.
right, right.
Right.
No longer charming.
It wouldn't be
right,
charming.
Right.
It would actually, but again, a piece of me thinks that what happens on the North Baylands that's gonna feel like San Francisco anyway. It's not really gonna feel like Brisbane.
Mhm.
It's gonna help us tax wise and
Right.
it's gonna help the schools, but it's not gonna feel connected to downtown. There's no way it can.
Yeah.
Sierra Point's not really connected to downtown,
Mhm.
you know? I'm hoping that, as autonomous vehicles get licensed, where I've been in Waymo in San Francisco, it's amazing.
Mhm.
It's amazing. I can see some of the problems, but it is amazing.
Mhm.
Well, think about the elderly community that is, can't drive anymore. Right? We don't have a robust taxi and bus and,
We have
fleet.
a stopgap for now.
We do,
Got wheels.
but Waymo is now in San Mateo County. They're starting to
Yeah.
map the county. And, I think that will be great. When they build a new Caltrain station remodeled at Bayshore, let's say you can take a Waymo and go there to the train, you can go anywhere. Well, that's gonna open up things for Brisbane's residents that they've never had. So I mean, I think the future is really positive. Yeah, really
Limitless
exciting.
possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Without a doubt.
that's
Well,
great.
thank you for having me. You have my
Of
card.
course, yes.
You can always call me, leave a message if you need have a question about something,
Yeah. Do you have-
whatever.
Do you have any top of mind thoughts on what the idea committee could do to help your agenda to further your objectives?
I think basically having your ears to the ground. I mean, if you know of small businesses, let's say somebody who is, cooking in their kitchen, they want to open a commercial thing, get us involved. We may not be able to solve it,
Mhm.
but, if Christy didn't come, maybe there wouldn't be a Brisbane Lunch Trip right now.
Mhm.
If she had said, oh, I'll just go to South City because I found a lease,
Mhm.
right? We had some cannabis warehousing here,
Mhm.
distribution.
Mhm.
Now that's constricting because the whole industry is
Right.
finding out it's not as lucrative as it used to be.
Mhm.
So there's some changes there. But I mean, if we don't know what these small entrepreneurs are doing, because they don't tell us,
Mhm.
and they think we only care about these big companies. It's every company matters. Every company matters.
Yeah.
And, my goal is to have home entrepreneurs recognize it, whether it's through social media, whether it's through the luminary, whatever. If they get the word out, they can be more successful than if nobody knows they exist.
Mhm.
So, our goal was to try to shine the spotlight on people that might be working in the shadows that we don't know they exist,
Mhm.
and also, hearing from people in the community, what do they think we need or can do better, or, ideas flow both ways.
Sure.
And that's, partly why I'm here.
Great.
So again, you have my info,
We'll
anytime.
do what we can to increase the outreach and the visibility, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we have to update our video, right, Mitch?
Why don't we do?
Welcome to Brisbane video.
Have you ever seen that? Welcome to Brisbane.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Starring Mitch Bull, have you seen it?
Yeah.
I wanted to crawl under the table. I saw it.
Is it on the website?
It is.
It's on the website. I do my best Rick Steves impression of Rick Steves in Europe. I'm Mitch Bull in Brisbane. And we had a lot of fun doing it on a very, very
Yeah.
windy day.
Mhm.
And we probably will update that in the next
Yeah.
year or two.
Just going around to all the
So,
different business districts.
Yeah,
And so basically, yeah, the kinds of businesses that, from, whose inputs you're seeking are not just the S corps and the C corps, but also the LLCs and the sole proprietors.
Yep.
How about even the freelancers?
Yep.
Those two?
Yep.
Okay,
it's,
so that's, that may be a good way to send a message out
Yeah.
that you might be one of, a freelancer.
Yeah.
You might be a sole proprietor.
our
or you might be an
challenge.
LLC.
Right.
We still need, want to hear.
We,
from
we,
you.
we want you here.
Yeah.
We want you in the community. And if you're already in the community
Right,
and you're working from your house.
Yeah.
Do you need our help
right.
to get your message out? Because you may not, but if you do, we're here.
Mhm.
If you don't know what's available to you,
Yeah.
you're never gonna grow,
Exactly.
Our challenge is small spaces.
Mhm.
We don't have incubator spaces. We just don't. We have 20,000 square foot warehouses.
Mhm.
And, luckily, there's a few vacant now, but there's not always.
Mhm.
I mean, I have always wanted to put an indoor soccer into one of these warehouses.
Mhm.
You know, like they've done in Burlingame before and,
Mhm.
or tennis or pickleball or whatever. You know, I think that's ideal.
Yeah.
But as long as Prologis is leasing them out and they're getting their full rent, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
Well, now there's a few openings, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So,
But even
Yeah.
if, however small, even if they cannot find space, these small businesses like, sole proprietors, for instance, it behooves them to be on your radar. Because like you
Absolutely.
said, with the PPP was a classic instance, just the fact that,
right,
if they were been there, that would have,
right,
made it more frictionless.
right. And,
For them to get those, to enable them access to those PPP
and
funds.
those were the state and the federal grants. The city, when they
Had
saw the
additional
need,
grants too.
they put grants together
Right.
too, which the council did. Well, if they hadn't known what the need was and they weren't
Right.
connected, that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
So I mean, that says a lot about the council, it says a lot about this town. This town comes to help when people need it,
Yeah,
and then there's gonna be, other issues. Like insurance and, fire insurance, and
right,
that's gonna be a big issue throughout California.
increasingly so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'll
Great.
let you
Perfect.
finish go forward with your agenda, but again, you have my card. If you need anything, please give me a
Watch
call.
the council meeting tomorrow. See
Yeah.
Mitch's report.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mitch.
You
If
don't
you do
want
us a favor and send us a copy of the white paper that we plan to present. that'd be
Once the
Once it's
council
been approved.
approves it,
great. Yes.
I will send it out to you guys.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Thank you.
very much.
Well,
Thank you
Thank
so much.
Thank you for coming.
Nice meeting you.
Me too.
I'm
Thank
sure
you.
we've met once.
Yeah. Nice meeting you.
Mitch, you too. Thank you.
Take care.
Take
Bye,
care.
Mitch.
Thanks, Caroline.
You're welcome. Fount of information is correct.
That was like a whole history lesson. Great, Mitch. Okay. So next on our agenda is the annual work plan. Are
Yes,
we
um,
gonna do that today?
I
Well,
think,
since Ingrid isn't here.
yeah.
She
I
was
think
closest to
we'll
it. maybe
Yeah.
better
probably
to
just wait
Table
till
that.
April.
table that too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I think we have maybe some ideas under economic development that we can add in after
Right, right.
speaking with Mitch.
Not only
Yeah.
that, then housing element also can.
Yeah.
The picture, so it
Right.
makes more sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
So just defer to April.
Mhm.
perfect. We will table that. The other thing is the reviewing the subcommittee work for 2024. Is that kind of also under the same umbrella?
So one thing we can talk about now, and which will be formalized in the next meeting, is we just had a subcommittee meeting, a policy subcommittee meeting, where we heard from the city planner's office, represented by Julia, regarding the housing element. And she was soliciting input in terms of, from the idea committee for a proposed stakeholder committee that they would like to form, where they would seek inputs from different constituents within the community
Mm-hmm.
to inform their decisions in the for housing element. So, Nyoka and I attended that meeting, and I think what they are looking for and what our idea committee can deliver and our objectives are closely aligned, so we decided to go ahead with it. It makes perfect sense. So it'll be there reflected on the next agenda. And we'll find, kind of explore good, good ways to keep that going, where
Mhm.
she might come in weekly and monthly at our meetings and update us on progress and, talk about issues and so on. And then we can figure out whether or not, the subcommittee needs to continue meeting with the stakeholder committee, or how that communication needs to be and whatever engagement needs to happen, at the time, whether I talk every year, calendar, sure.
Great,
That was the gist of it.
okay.
Lyoko, anything to add from your side?
No, that sums it up. It was this at 5 o'clock, and so far it's been so informative. It's been amazing.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's the report from the policy subcommittee.
Yeah, Julia will prepare a staff report too,
Okay,
for the committee to review, and we have a PowerPoint that we can share as well. Or should we share that now with the full committee?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll come, yeah,
Mhm.
because, you know, it's.
What she shared with the policy subcommittee, we'll
Right.
share that
Right,
too.
yeah, so
That'd be great.
it makes sense for the entire committee. Yeah,
Right.
no doubt.
Mhm. Okay. Well, I think
That's it.
we've had a discussion about this. That's pretty much it, unless there's something else that I'm missing.
The only thing was, Caroline, you said something about the God wheels.
Right.
Is that something we need to discuss or?
Well, it might involve more of the event subcommittee, which,
Hmm.
this past week, I had a meeting with, the program manager for Got Wheels, which
Okay.
is, the program from Peninsula Family Service, where it allows those 70 and older to have the
Right,
$5 one-way ride through the service area. And there's a need to, or a desire to see if the membership of Got Wheels, plus anyone who's interested in learning more about the program or other programs that Peninsula Family Service offers. The program manager said she'd be interested in hosting some type of event in Brisbane for a lunch with prizes or like also tables for information about their programs. Resource fair almost. And she was looking at the space in the council chambers as a potential location.
Mhm.
And so I thought, yeah, it's something to talk with the committee about potentially as maybe a way for the event subcommittee to be involved in the planning of this, because they do want to make sure that others that may not be as familiar with, just events, haven't come to City Hall or just aren't sure,
Right.
would be interested in attending that and maybe thinking about what time of year to do that in. I threw out, April, but she's like, I don't know, if that would give us enough time.
Right, because that's right
And
here.
then she
Yeah.
mentioned something about June gloom, but I said maybe June to break up that gloom. June gloom.
On a related note, last time we gave
Mhm.
us a set of flyers, which I handed
Right.
out over to the senior center.
Thank you.
I think.
They're all gone,
They're all gone,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, we gave more to Jeff and Parks and Rec to bring over.
Okay.
Because their program is actually changing a little bit where if there is a need that they're seeing in a household to have more than one membership card, like a
Mhm.
husband and wife, for
Mhm.
instance, they're going to allow the spouse or the partner to have their own. So that doubles their rides to 12 round trip
Mm.
rides versus the 6.
Mhm.
Um,
That's fair.
so
Okay.
one of the seniors was meeting the application, so I sent it to Cherie today for her husband's
Mhm.
membership card, so that's going in the mail.
Okay.
But I think it's, yeah, people are interested, but also the loneliness epidemic. The County of San Mateo was the first to pass a resolution about wanting to address this epidemic, where they are finding that probably COVID was very much a responsible player in it, that there are more, this region in North County
Mhm.
is apparently experiencing like higher levels of loneliness, where adults and also young adults too are feeling isolated. So it's really almost tied to that aspect as well. This Cherie is in charge of the Got Wheels program, but that's out of the older adults sphere of Peninsula Family Services programs.
Mhm.
And so that's why she just feels that this might be a great way to just let people know about their services to help with this loneliness epidemic
Mhm.
going on. So this is an interest to, I put on the event subcommittee. I think it's, well, Jana?
Am I-
On the
am I
policy, so
like-
you're probably on this.
Yeah.
Am I like, I don't know, like in officially on it? But as you're sitting here talking,
Mhm.
I am thinking about like, like when Nicole came and again, reaching that
Right.
young adult
Mhm.
age range that we feel are kind of being, missed. And I don't think, really addressing like how COVID may have landed with them too. I mean,
Right.
maybe they were social at some point and then during that point they weren't, and, you know, it's like,
Mhm.
how do you come out of that?
Mhm.
Or maybe they never were, because we're talking about like the Gen Zers who are very much, you know, everything is on the phone or,
Mhm.
you know, so
Mhm.
this is kind of a new thing for them. So I love that conversation and looking for ways to try and mitigate that.
Yeah, well, Sheree, they're really another fount of information.
Mhm.
Very well connected to with other organizations and, um, so, yeah, maybe we could have like a follow-up with her.
Yeah.
We can, land on like a time that it makes sense to have this event in Brisbane.
Mhm.
And yeah, it would be totally just a lunch to get people coming out. We talked about food helps.
Yeah.
Raffle prizes help.
And
Um,
targeting those specific age groups
yeah,
too.
yeah, might
Put
take
that on
that.
our event list of
Right.
things to do, and June might be a good time, you know, before people kind of launch for
Mhm,
vacations and so
mhm.
forth, but yeah.
And that was what that letter was about in the packet.
Nice,
Okay, so we will connect more, Anna.
All right.
definitely.
Right on the dot, 7 p.m. So,
All righty, is that it? Shall we adjourn?
I think so.
Great.
great, thank
Well,
you.
this meeting is adjourned at 7:01 PM.
Great. Thank you,
And it's been a
everyone.
really great
Okay.
meeting.
Bye, Miyoko.
Bye,
Thank
Miyoko.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you next
Bye-bye.
month. Bye.
Bye-bye.